Hello. Welcome to this edition of the Cancer Coach Talks. I'm your host, Leslie Nance, and tonight we are going to be talking about something that I get a lot of questions about, especially in my one-to-one coaching sessions. It's good to see you guys. Thank you so much for joining. We're in a little bit different setting here. And so I just want to make sure that we're live, and we are. So welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching this as a replay here in the Real Answers About Your Cancer on Facebook, however you are participating this evening, thank you so much. It's good to have you. I realize that this is a touchy subject and that maybe not a lot of you are going to want to pop in here live tonight. But if this is something that you're struggling with, I highly recommend that you leave your comments, that you leave your questions, or if you don't want to leave it here and you want to DM me, I am totally okay with that as well. So welcome. Thank you so much. Let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Leslie Nance. I am the Cancer Coach. I come here on Tuesdays and Thursday nights, really just tackling subjects around, of course, around the topic of cancer and trying to help you form a healthier mindset around the subject as well. A rabbit just ran by. Sorry, rabbit. And so it's really important to me to help you have a good relationship with yourself, mind, body, and soul. And that's what I do here. So I'm a certified holistic nutritionist, certified holistic cancer coach, certified plant-based chef, and I'm a 6.5-year cancer survivor myself. And I have to tell you that this particular topic really did play a huge role for me in my cancer journey. And I will explain a little bit about that as we go on tonight. So let me just tell you, I am not going to be graphic tonight. I am not going to describe situations, but we are going to have a real discussion. So if sex talks make you a little squeamish, then you might want to just bookmark this, like it, however you want to do it, and come back to it later. I will totally understand if that's the case. If you do not want to type your comments in here live tonight, you're welcome to DM me at Leslie Nance as well. So looks like we have a really good signal, and we're going to get started right now. So welcome everybody that's here. I see Ann is here. I'm not quite sure who else is here, but if you leave a hello or something like that in the chat box, I will be able to see that you're here. So I get this question a lot. Actually, I get two questions when we think about sex in general. And one of those questions is, my partner wants to have sex and I don't feel like it, or my partner is ignoring me and doesn't want to have sex, and I think that there's something wrong, like they think I'm damaged goods or something. And so, both of these situations are very real. And hi, it's good to see you. Happy Tuesday, Ann. And it's, cancer disrupts our entire life, not just our sex life, right? It disrupts our entire life. And so it invades, literally, it invades all different parts of our lives. And when we allow it, it can really put the kibosh on things that are fun, like sex. Oh, and P.S., sex should be fun. You should want to do it. So, and let me say this. If you did not have a good sex life prior to cancer, the chances of you having a good sex life during cancer is not going to happen probably. And after cancer, probably not going to happen. If it's something that you desire but have never had or don't have any longer, then it is something that you need to work on. Cancer is not going to make it any better. Let's put it that way. So, I laugh and I joke a lot on here, but there's nothing less sexy on the planet than cancer. And for a lot of us, it is affecting some of the intimate parts of our body, right? For some of us, it's in our mouth and in our throat. For some of us, it's in our brain, which, believe me, is your biggest intimate center on the planet, on your own planet, by the way. Some of us, it's in our breast. Some of us, it's in even our gut. Some of us, it's in our intestines. Some of us, it's in our reproductive organs, our sex organs. And so anywhere that you have it, it plays a role in your sex life. And so the first thing that I want to tell you about this, like the first, by the way, hello everybody, it's good to have you. I only know if you're here if you leave me a comment, because I'm on my phone tonight and it only shows me if you're here if you leave a comment. So just so you know, I don't see you popping in and out like I would if I was on my computer. But let me just say this first off. Cut yourself some slack. Tell your partner to cut you some slack. Tell your partner that you're going to cut them some slack. Because Cancer makes being intimate more difficult. Now, some people actually report, hi, it's good to see you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Cancer actually makes some people more excited. Makes them want to have more sex. Now, this is especially true for people that are single, believe it or not. Couples don't experience this as much as people who are single do. It makes them want more sex, which I think is a funny paradigm, actually. But you need to cut yourself a little bit of slack in this area, because sex is an important part of a relationship at all stages of our relationship. But you need to have a little time, and you need to have a little patience with yourself and with your partner, because the chances are eventually everything is going to come back. Now, it may not be like it was before, right? My left breast that I had surgery on sometimes is a no-go. Like, it's like, okay, don't touch lefty, because lefty gets a little bit of lymphedema now and again. Lefty gets a little bit sore if I do like heavy aerobic activity. Sometimes if I don't wear the right bra. And so it's like, just, you know, lefty had radiation. She had surgery, and I'm pointing to her. But you need to cut her a little bit of slack. So don't even look at lefty tonight. And we have that joke in our house. I mean, Robin will say, you know, is lefty on or off tonight? So, but I mean, we actually talk about it in our house, but it's very difficult to, you know, to want to proceed, but not have, I'm glad you guys find some humor in that, but not either have the desire or feel like really like you feel well enough to have it. Well, let's just get right into that. So here's some reasons why your sex drive may be lower during Cancer. Number one, you have Cancer. Number two, you might actually be feeling physically ill, like from treatments. You might, you know, be a little nauseous or a little lightheaded or a little bloated or a little, you know, your gut hurts or anything like that. You might be vomiting. So it's probably not the best time to say, hey, you want to get busy with it? You know, that's probably not a good thing to say at that point. And if you're a partner watching this, you should respect that as well. Sometimes it's because you're just tired, like you're tired all over. Like your boobs are tired. Like everything about you is tired. Your vagina is tired. You're like, I'm just tired. I'm not interested in sex right now. Maybe it is, maybe you're in chemopause, which is a very real thing. If you've not been through menopause, if you're a woman and if you've not been through menopause and you're having chemotherapy, you could be going through chemopause, which will put you into menopause sometimes. And so a lot of women report having no period whatsoever when they are when they're doing chemo. So let me make sure I'm not missing any comments here. I'm going to go. I'm not. Okay, you guys are just super quiet. Are you shy? Are you shy about talking about sex? You do not know how much I'm refraining from singing the song. Let's talk about sex, baby. Okay. Anyway, maybe it is. Maybe it's because you're sad. Maybe your sadness has kind of taken over and sex doesn't feel like something that you want to do when you're sad. Maybe you're in pain, like physical pain. Maybe you have anxiety. It could be something like bowel problems, like you have diarrhea. Like nobody wants to have sex when they're having diarrhea, right? Maybe you have mouth sores. Maybe you have a change in appearance. And that can be from the hair loss, that can be from surgery, that can be from skin changes, that can be from weight loss, like losing a whole lot of weight. It can be opposite of that, feeling bloated and puffy, sometimes from the steroids that they're giving you during treatments. And it could be completely hormonal. And this is for men and women, by the way. It is not just women that experiences the hormone changes. Men also experience those as well. So there are a lot of reasons that can put a halt on your sex drive. And let me go back and say again, you need to be patient with yourself. Now, chances are that you have a partner that is not going through cancer and wants to have sex. And so you feel like this certain responsibility to your partner. Maybe you had a really good, let me just tell you my story. Robin and I have always had an awesome sex life. I know, TMI, too bad for you. But Robin and I have always had an awesome sex life from our first encounter till our last. It's always been absolutely freaking phenomenal. Like, we joke that we should write a book because we think it's so good. But I'm glad my mom and dad aren't here. But we have always had a really great sex life. And I have to tell you that when I was diagnosed with cancer, it wasn't me that was having the problem with the sex drive. It was him. And it was because he perceived me as being fragile. He actually perceived me as being something delicate and fragile, and he didn't want to, he was afraid, and because it was my breast, and I've always been very proud of my breast, and so he was afraid, and so has he, but of my breast, not his, but he perceived it as something that was very delicate and something that maybe he shouldn't touch because there's cancer there. And I will also tell you, the way that we found the cancer wasn't, some of you know this story, some of you don't. We actually found my lump in my breast during an intimate situation one morning. And sometimes you guys, hi Emily. So sometimes you guys see me wear a long necklace that has like a guitar pick on it. And it's a Rolling Stones necklace. And I used to wear it to bed. I don't wear it to bed anymore, but I used to wear it to bed, and it has a big bail on it, a big, loop that attaches the guitar pick, the silver guitar pick, to the chain. And I thought that it was underneath my breast while we were having sex. I thought it was underneath my breast over here on the side, and I reached down to like move it because it was kind of poking into my side, and then I found the lump in my breast. And so our sex life went from like la 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 wonderful to in a hurry. And I mean, part of it was because of that encounter, but part of it was also, and later in therapy, Robin and I had a really good couple of sessions with a counselor that said, hi, Eugene, that said, and Robin finally discovered that it was more about him thinking that I was fragile, and that he was afraid that he was invading something, that had become very personal to me. And I was like, dude, I'm ready. Let's do this. Like, I never lost my sex drive during the whole thing, but it was him. And so it was a little bit opposite. Most of the time it's the person with the cancer that is experiencing the loss in sex drive. So you feel like you have this obligation to your partner to fulfill their sexual desires, because after all, they don't have cancer. And so it can become a very, very tricky situation. And so you need to be sensitive. Both of you need to be sensitive about that situation. And the best way to conquer that is to have the conversation. Okay. So during cancer treatments, when I'm working with couples in particular, I work with a lot of couples, not just the husband, not just the wife, but them together. Usually, well, only one of them has cancer, but I work with the couple, helping them get through the cancer journey, because a lot of times it's a caretaker and the person, and a lot of times it's a husband and wife, or a boyfriend and girlfriend, or a husband and a husband, or a wife and a wife, and they are negotiating this situation together. And so inevitably, though, sex does come up, and it usually comes up from the person that is diagnosed with cancer because they feel guilty about their lack of sex drive. And so I want to give you some tips. If you are going through cancer treatments and you don't feel like sex, there are some things that you can do to create some intimacy. So everybody knows the difference between sex and intimacy, right? So sex is a physical act. Intimacy is also a physical act, but also can become a very nurturing act. And I actually find sex very nurturing as well, but not everybody has that opinion. So I don't want to push my opinion off on you guys. But you know, intimacy is something that is that we never lose with our partner, right? Even as we age, even if we lose sexual function, we never lose that intimacy with our partner. And so let me describe that to you. So, you know, if you want to ditch the sex altogether, go for the intimacy, because intimacy can almost be as good as sex sometimes. I mean, you may not get the physical climax, but you're getting that sense of togetherness, which is what holds you together. And it gives you like this super warm, fuzzy feeling. And so intimacy can just be something as simple as sitting on the couch together close, right? So not sitting on opposite ends of the couch or in your own like recliners or something like that, but sitting close to one another, you know? And it doesn't even have to be like arm around, you know, like I got you here, babe. Like it doesn't even have to be that. It could just be in close proximity where you can smell that person, where you can feel the warmth of their body. Sometimes you can feel their breath on you. That is intimacy, right? You've had somebody in your life at some point that's kind of crossed that line a little bit, and you remember how uncomfortable that felt, right? Because they are kind of up in your space and you didn't want them there. Right? So, and sometimes it's not creepy sexual. Most of the time it's not creepy sexual, but you've had that happen. You're like, whoa, dude, you know, like back off a little bit, you know? But when you're with your partner and you have that, that's that same thing, but in reverse, and it feels good. And so sometimes just that simple being close, that togetherness creates a sense of intimacy. So, you know, just simple touching, holding hands, you know, I remember that I would fall asleep next to Robin, which I never sleep next to him. I am a very like touch me not when I sleep. I'm like, dude, I'm sleeping. Don't touch me. So, but when I had cancer, I needed that closeness. I needed that closeness of that proximity, and I would fall asleep and Robin would brush my hair away from my face and he would just kind of gently touch it. And oh my gosh, it was like the best thing ever. And inevitably I would go to sleep and I would sleep very well. And sometimes I'd wake up in the middle of the night and I would be kind of restless and I'd be shifting around and I could feel him reach over and start touching my hair again. I was like, oh, okay, this is really good, right? This is really, really good. And so just simple touching, not even sexual touching, but just simple touching. Sometimes it's just coming up to somebody and, you know, your spouse or your partner and putting your hands, you know, taking their face in your hands and looking them right in their eyes and telling them, I love you. I care about you. I want to be with you. I'm here for you. That can make all the difference in the world. That is true intimacy. You know, going a little bit further where you do add a little bit of sex in there, you know, kissing. When is the last time that you made out with your partner? Because I bet a lot of you are like, so we have a joke in our house. Every time we go through one of those drive-through car washes, you know, like we go through one of those drive-through car washes and every time we go through the car wash, I tell Robin, I'm like, you want to make out? Like every single time. And now it's a big joke. I mean, even if somebody's in the car with us, I say it. And it's a big joke. So one day he like grabbed me like in the car wash and started making out. And then we started cracking up because it was just, but when is the last time you made out? Not with sex involved, but you just literally like made out. Like I remember that I used to come home from a date and my mom would say, "Have you been kissing?" And I'm like, "No." And she's like, "Yes, you have." I'm like, "Mom, how would you," because I had already like fixed my makeup, my hair and everything. And I'm like, "How would you know that I've been kissing?" She's like, "I can tell by your lips." When's the last time you made out somebody could tell by your lips? That is intimacy. How about a massage? How about just a nice massage on the shoulders, on the lower back, right? Just to not even laying down, just to set up. Let me sit in front of me. Let me massage your scalp. Let me massage your neck and your shoulders. Trust me, for anybody who has cancer, they are going to love that. Relieve some of the tension, relieve some of the stress. It is amazing. Robin used to do that to me as well. It's just absolutely amazing how much that does for both people, what that does for both people involved in that. And take turns and then say, "Okay, now you sit in front of me and let me do you," right? Talking, sometimes there's a lack of communication in a relationship, maybe that even existed prior to cancer. And sometimes just like talking, like actually having a conversation about something that is not cancer, or that is not scary, or isn't about the bills or the kids or the lawn that needs to be done or the dishes in the sink or the dirty clothes or the house that needs to be painted, but it's just talking, Maybe it's remembering. Maybe it's taking a little time to talk about, "Oh my gosh, do you remember when we were on vacation and blah, 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 blah happened?" Right? Do you remember the day that we got married? Remember that whole whatever it was? Right? So just having a conversation it can be so intimate. So intimate. What about hugging? Oh my God, hugging's my favorite. So I'm a hugger. So if you ever meet me in person, if you're not a hugger, just too bad for you. Too bad for you. I am a total hugger. And so you're going to get hugged. And a lot of times you're going to get a kiss on the cheek or two. And if I know you really well, you're going to get one on the mouth. Because I am that person. I am a touchy, feely, huggy person, as you might imagine. Most people would know that about me just like watching one of these videos. But I am one of those people that you're like, "Oh my God, you're in my space." But yes, hugging is awesome. Just a big bear hug, just every single day, Robin and I make a point to kiss, to hug, to talk, to have these little intimate moments. And I'm not talking about like an hour's worth of this stuff. I'm talking about like a couple of minutes. I'm talking about just taking a break in your day. These things can be huge. Cuddling, of course, holding hands. All of these things are very, very intimate. And you never know, maybe you were not in the mood at all. Like sex is like, right? But sometimes you start kissing, sometimes you hold hands, sometimes you start talking and it turns into something else, right? Sometimes you're cuddling on the couch or you're getting a massage and it turns into something else. Without the expectation of that happening, without pressuring yourself to make it happen, it ends up happening. You've heard of women over and over and over again who are trying to get pregnant, give up on getting pregnant, adopt a baby, and end up getting pregnant, right? Because they are relaxed about the situation. It goes triple, 10 times, 20 times, 100 times for sex. If you're trying to get aroused, oh my God, it's like the hardest thing in the world. But when you're not trying and you don't set that expectation for yourself, guess what? All right. So if you are a woman and you are going through chemotherapy or any type of cancer treatment, you might have a lower libido. Be patient with yourself. When you're done with treatment, it will come back. Okay. I will tell you though, if you don't use it, you will lose it. This goes for men and women. But the vagina likes to be used. Okay. And when you don't use it for sex, you are going to notice, I know, here's the graphic part. I'm sorry. If you don't use it, you're going to notice dryness. You are going to notice some pain during sex. You might even have a little bit of bleeding during sex after you start back up again. You might find it harder to get orgasms. Not organisms. It sounded like I said organisms, and I meant orgasms, the big O. You might find it harder for that to happen. And so here's the deal. Here's the deal. You don't need to use it till you orgasm, but you should use it every once in a while. Whether that means with a device, whether that means with your partner, whether that means with yourself, whatever. Even if it doesn't feel sexual, you should use it just a little bit so you don't lose it, especially if you'd like your sex life to come back after you're done with your treatments, okay? Because if you go half a year without using it, especially if you're close to menopause, especially if you've been pushed into menopause, you're gonna find it difficult. And nobody wants to talk about this stuff. Like nobody wants to talk about vaginal dryness after chemotherapy, but it's a real thing. And so the best way to prevent that is not to buy a good lubricant. It is actually to use it a little while you are going through the treatments, because it's really typically not the treatments. It's the fact that it's not getting used. Okay? There. I said it. For men, a lot of times you can experience erectile dysfunction. You can experience a loss of sensation. You can find it harder to orgasm. You can find it harder to be erect or fully erect. Sensation loss may be a little bit of a problem, or pain even. So again, it kind of goes for men as well, except that you don't get the dryness like women do. But you try to use it every once in a while. You don't have to even use it for sex. Just use it a little bit so you don't lose it. It makes a big difference. It makes a big, big difference. For both people, for men and women, one of the biggest problems that I hear is that there is a loss of confidence, right? Maybe you've lost a lot of weight. Maybe you've lost your hair. Maybe you've had an operation that has removed part of your body. Maybe you have some body consciousness. Maybe you are a little puffy from the steroids and you're not used to that. Some women gain weight, or men and women gain weight. Some men and women lose weight. There could be a multitude of things. You are going to be different after your cancer journey. Every single one of us is. Every single one of us has something that has happened to us during our cancer journey. And so I help people actually minimize that. You know, I actually help people minimize those effects, but it's still a very real thing. So those confidence issues can wreak havoc on your sex life. And this is something that you need to get some help with. Whether it's having a conversation with your partner, whether it's hiring somebody to help you through it, whatever it is, that confidence can kill your sex drive. Don't let it. You are an amazing human being. You have survived something that not everybody survives. Don't let it happen. Have conversations. Keep that line of communication. And that's going to be my next and last point. Talk it out. You know, if you have an active partner, talk it out. Tell them what you need and what you want. And this goes for even just a regular sex life, you know. Tell them what you need. Tell them what you like. Tell them what's comfortable. Tell them what's uncomfortable. It's okay. Tell them your limitations. Look you got 10 minutes because I'm tired, right? You can do this, but you can't do that. Don't touch Lefty because she's sore, right? Having these lines of communication doesn't hurt your sex life. It helps your sex life. And so talking it out, you know, your partner, if you have that guilt, like you don't want to have sex and your partner like does, like you had a really good sex life and you know they're missing that part of their life, you know, have a conversation. Maybe it comes down to, you know, some intimacy, and then maybe you give them permission to satisfy the back end of that. I'm not going to say it out loud, but you know what I mean. Maybe you give them permission to, like, you know, pleasure themselves so that they're being satisfied. Maybe you don't want a part of that right now, but you tell them it's okay if you need that. I understand. If I was in your shoes, I'd want you to tell me that, right? And so keeping those line of communications really, really open. So the other thing that I want to talk about is sometimes as you begin to get better, as you begin to feel better, as you begin to look better, as you can tell, like your partner can tell, like some of your confidence is coming back, it's possible that your partner is going to approach you and you may not be ready. And it's okay to say, I know it's so exciting that I'm done with treatments and I'm feeling better and I'm getting back to my life, but I'm not quite there yet. Can you be a little patient with me? Can you just be a little bit more patient with me? But don't use that as an excuse. At some point, you're going to want to get back in the saddle. It could be a little rough at first. It could be a little difficult. It may not be like the sex life you had before. It may not be like that instant, like, bang, get it on, bang a gong, right? It may not be like that straight away. And so you need to be a little patient with yourself, and you need to ask for that same patience with your partner. And don't think like the first 4, 5, 10 times that you have sex, that's how it is. That's just how it is. As you do it more, as you get back into that routine, if that's what it is, or you get back into that sex life, that will come back. You will feel a difference. You will feel that intimacy and that sex drive begin to come back. So be a little patient with yourself and don't freak out if it's not like the most perfect romantic thing on the world. If it is, awesome. Congratulations to you. But if it's not, don't stress about it either, especially if it's been a long period of time. All right, everybody with me? You good? Here comes the husband. He's like, you talking about sex?
You want me to tell my sex joke?
You want to? Oh, you're going to tell a sex joke?
Yeah.
Oh, no. All right, everybody. Here, come share the camera with me. Here he comes.
Get out of the way.
I can't get out of the way. You come sit down here.
So we were at church and the pastor was asking people, when was the last time you had sex? Who had sex who has sex like, you know, every week? And, you know, a lot of people raised their hands. And then he said, who has sex maybe like just once a month? And, you know, people raised their hands. And then he said, who has sex like every half a year? And like 2 or 3 people raised their hands and they looked kind of sheepish. And then he said, who has sex just once a year? This guy's hand shot up. Me! And everybody's going, what?
He's so excited about once a year.
Yeah. Why are you so excited about once a year sex? And the guy says, tonight's the night.
Well, there you have it. OMG. I thought he was going to tell a dirty joke. I was a little worried there. He couldn't have been much dirtier than I was, though. No. Thank you, Robin. Oh, yeah. Big round of applause. Hi, Tracy. It's good to see you. Oh, goodness. Well, okay. So there you go. If this is something that you're struggling with, I just want to tell you, I am not a sex counselor. I am a cancer coach. However, I have coached a lot of people through this process. I have talked to a lot of people on very intimate levels. He's crazy, D. But I have talked to a lot of people on very intimate levels about their relationships. And, you know, cancer is not just about you and the cancer, right? That would be easy if that's all it was about. Cancer intertwines itself into our lives. It takes root, it comes along with, and it affects every single part of our lives, from our relationships to our sex life, to our work life, to our relationship with ourself. And that is where the benefit of a cancer coach comes in, right? Is having somebody to support you through that connection. Because I have clients that come on the back end of cancer and they're like, my whole life has changed, and not the way that you're thinking. They're saying my whole life has changed, and it's such a beautiful change. I'm more aware of myself. And I have people that were like non-sexual beings, like turned into sexual beings because they're so aware of their self. Like they understand their wants and their needs and their desires. And they're able to communicate those because cancer has made them brave. And so if that's something that you want to harness, if that's something you want to learn, if that's something that you desire through your journey, then let's talk, because I can help you through this. This is something that is so important, not just the sexual aspect of it, but if you take the importance of sex in our life, and it's important for human beings, if you take that part of us and you translate that into your own well-being and how you relate to others and how you relate to your work and how you relate to the world in general, all of those things can be a transformation. And if that is something that you are looking for, if that is something that you want cancer to teach you, let me guide you down that path. I would be happy to do it, at least talk to you if that is a possibility. So tonight, I'm going to ask you to DM me. So DM means direct message, by the way. You can just click on Leslie Nance anywhere and send me a message. I would be happy to speak to you about what your needs are. Maybe it's not sexual, maybe it's diet, maybe it's mindset, whatever it is. I would be thrilled to speak to you about what it is that you need to learn from cancer, and I can help you through that. That realization is so powerful, because I truly believe that once cancer has taught us what it was here to teach us, it doesn't ever have to come back again, because you've learned the lesson. All right, I'm going to be back on Thursday night. Thursday night, we are going to be talking about, is it worth it to buy organics? Like, is it something, can I skip it? Is that something I can skip, or do I really need to spend the extra money on organics? We're going to be talking about food, sex tonight, food on Thursday. So talk about a stimulating week. You guys have a good rest of your evening. I will see you. Oh, I did good tonight. I will see you on Thursday night. Next week and the week after, there will be no Cancer Coach Talks. I will actually be in the UK for about 12 days. So I will not be doing live broadcasts from there in this group. So, right. But if you want to follow me on Instagram at GoToKitchens, you're welcome, and thank you. If you want to follow me on Instagram at GoToKitchens, then you are welcome to do that, because we will be sharing in our stories there a little bit about our trip. So thank you guys so much. Yep, you guys have a great evening. Love you bunches.
Tonight.
I will see you on Thursday night. Bye, everybody.